You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
It's go time and I'm not wearing my watch. As you're watching this, I will be in Miami for week 1 against the Jaguars. This is our preview episode. Guys, we finally made it. The season is underway. Charlie shows off his watch because if you're not watching on YouTube, then you're just talking heads at the moment. But yeah, week 1 is upon us. And before we delve into all of this and why it is being dubbed the revenge game, long-time listeners will know why it's a revenge game. I am so happy to finally start the season. You haven't heard his voice, but if you're watching on YouTube, you have seen him. Charlie Touche, how are you?
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and official affiliates of Fanatics, where you could be a fan of your favorite franchise. Listen, it's week 1, Kadeem. We made it to week 1, bro.
The off season seems to get longer and longer. And as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if you're a Dolphin, there's always some kind of scandal. There's always something, always. And we'll jump into no huddle a lot later. But if you've seen the injury report that got released on Wednesday, it was just like we're in mid-season form. Like we skipped week 1 to 8. We're in week 9 already. But no, Dolphins Jags, Hard Rock Stadium, 1 p.m. It's gonna be amazing. And to explain why it is a revenge game, Charlie, when was the last time the Dolphins played the Jags?
London in 2022.
So I want to say it's 2021.
I think it was 21 too, actually. I couldn't fathom that it was that long ago. Because I feel like the wound is still fresh. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't fathom that it was that long ago.
That game has so much significance to Go Time Dolphins. So we've just come off the COVID season. The Dolphins are coming to London. Charlie Touche gets to London, isn't feeling too well, but powers through, is what it is. The plan was to do the review episode after the game. Charlie called me, hey, not feeling too well, I'm going to go back to the hotel. Cool, is what it is. When you get back to the other side of the pond, we'll dap it up, all that kind of stuff. Charlie goes on IR. Charlie isn't seen for weeks. And then the actual game in itself, I watched it.
Hold on. Before we talk about the game, because there was a little bit of that was a little off. So I was actually fine when I got to London. I was actually ice cold. I'm good. I'm chilling. It was peak prime time COVID. Like you have to get tested for COVID 2 weeks before you get on the plane. You had to get tested for COVID 2 days before you got on the plane. You had to get tested for COVID within 2 days after you got off the plane, and then 2 days prior to you getting back on the plane. So it was peak prime time COVID. And as I'm saying, I'm like, yo, this was not a good idea to do. You know what I'm saying? But me and LB did it anyway, and passed all the tests, flying colors, didn't have COVID going or coming, and we were actually fine. And you actually came to the hotel room, and we were chilling, and everything was good. So then the game happened. Shout out to, I forgot dude who I sat next to during the game, but dude was like, he was a Dolphin fan from Scotland. and he was just as upset as I was, and dude was like, "I'm tired of this." I'm like, "Dang, bro, from Scotland, bro, and you tired of it like I am?" I appreciated that, bro.
Yeah, it was a mental game. It was a game. Tua's just returned from, I want to say, was it injury? I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure Tua's first came back from something. Was this the Jesse Davis broken ribs?
I'm not sure, but what I remember is Jacksonville lost like 21 of their past 23. Or it was like a 21 game losing streak. I think it was the wildest. Like, bro, these boys are trash. These boys are suey. They're trash. We're gonna play them in London. Tua's back. We're gonna smack them around. Kadeem Simmons, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna smack them around, and we did not smack them around.
That that game-winning drive by the Jags, there were just a plethora of mistakes by the Dolphins, and that field goal. I remember sitting next to 5 Yard Lee of the Dolphin UK podcast, and as he's kicking it, just like holding on to Lee, just being like, he's gonna miss. Nah, he's got it. And then going to the press conference after.
Hold on,
and you
before
can
we get to the press conference, Kadeem, at the press conference that you were at, by the way, that you asked all these players before we get there, the game was still the game, and I remember watching, and the game didn't look as bad as it did. It didn't look, once I watched it back, it didn't look as bad. But when I was there, I'm like, you can't really assess everything you're seeing in real time until you watch it back. So I feel why players say, I know I gotta watch the tape. I feel coaches when they say that now, like, yeah, bro, I gotta see it from a different perspective as opposed to being in the game. Like, I feel like I'm processing the game differently. And during the game, I'm like, yo, we just letting these boys hang around. You know what I'm saying? Like, Noah Igbenogany got beat right in front of me. We had end zone seats, row one, me and LB, like, where we could like just grab the touchdown, the ball. Like, if someone scored a touchdown, row one, front row seats, and Noah got beat right in front of me. I like turn around, bro, ball, like hoping he could hear me, and he could not hear me. And that kick that you were talking about, I knew it was going in. Like I was like, bro, you let a bad team hang around, and then you gave them an opportunity to kick this game-winning field goal, walk off. I knew what time it was. I knew it was going in. And to be fair, Flores, B-Flow at the time, he gave us every opportunity to win too, because he was going for it on fourth down. I think he went for it on like 3 4th downs that game, maybe 2 for sure. And I'm like, yo, he's giving his players a chance to win, and either they're going to come through or not. But then we get to the post game where my co-host Kadeem Simmons had all the credentials in the world. Hey, y'all, listen, Kadeem is a dude in London. Like, y'all don't even know. We were outside that stadium. Shout out to 5 Yard Lead. That was the first time I met 5 Yard Lead in person. We've known each other for a few years now via, podcasts and internet, all this other good stuff. But then that was the first time we met in person. 5 Yard Lead was there. And pregame, it's like all the fans knew Kadeem, like Kadeem Simmons. I'm like, what's going on here? Why do people know who Kadeem Simmons is? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was. I didn't understand what happened, what was going on there. But Kadeem, with all the credentials in the world, talked to Christian Wilkins. You asked B-Flow a couple questions too, didn't you?
Yeah, it's funny. I was going through the videos today, sending some stuff to 5 Yard Lee, and it's like, yeah, Flores, Tua, Wilkins, Gesicki, Xavier Howard. I think it's the first time, because remember there was the whole Jalen Waddle's got a limp, no, he doesn't, all that kind of stuff. And I remember Jalen Waddle walking off the podium, and I was like, dude's got a limp. Dude 100% got a limp, but he plays whatever it is, he's fine. Like,
Kadeem, bro, I think we did this already. Like, he walks like that, and he runs like that. He runs super. He waddles, bro. It's just he walks and runs. He waddles like that. That's how he walks, bro.
Nah, I don't think it's a limp. But regardless, 5 Yard Lee dubbed it the revenge game. When, if you haven't already guessed it, the Go Time Dolphins, Dolphin UK podcast, watched the game together, and the Jags broke our heart. myself, 5 Yard Lee, Simon, and a few others are making the trip across the pond to Hard Rock Stadium to watch the Dolphins take on the Jags. First question, Charlie. Are they going to break our heart again?
Absolutely not. Like this is we're winning this. Like not only are we winning this, we could dub it the revenge game. Although there's only probably 7 players on this roster that played in that game, maybe less than 7 players. But nah, man, we could dub it the revenge game. But reality is, we're gonna smack them around. It's not gonna be close. This is not going to be the Chargers versus the Dolphins last year, week 1, where it was a shootout. Herbert and Tua shooted out. Tua throws for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill, he's got Hill, even though Harlan is doing the game. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get a couple he's got Hills, but he's got Waddle. We're gonna get a couple of those too. But nah, I don't think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna be a oh man, we let these boys hang around. If I'm being honest with you.
You mentioned how many players would have been on the Dolphins, and I'm trying to get the stats up for that game.
Before you say how many were on it, I'm gonna guess we got Tua. We have Austin Jackson, friend of the podcast. That Austin Jackson, friend of the podcast. Liam Eichenberg was on that team. Maybe, yeah, he was. Liam Eichenberg. So that's 3. Durham Smythe is 4. And if I'm being honest with you, Zach Sealer, I'm gonna go with 5. And I think that's all I got. Hold on. I feel like I'm missing somebody from the defense. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with those 5. Were the only people on that team.
Duke Riley's on the team. I feel like he is.
Yeah, Duke Riley's still on the team. Is it? Hold on.
Duke Riley, American football.
I feel like he is too.
Yeah, I thought. Yep, he's still with the Dolphins. To Duke Riley, a few friends of the podcast.
Javon Holland was on that team.
Emmanuel Ogba.
Yeah.
Holland, Ogba. There was someone else I just saw. You mentioned Zach Sealer.
That's 7. Robert Jones.
So unfortunately, the website I'm looking at right now doesn't have the offensive line, but I'm pretty sure Robert Jones has been drafted by them or joined the Dolphins. But it's interesting, Charlie, who was the leading rusher for the Dolphins in this game?
Leading rusher, Dolphins versus Jaguars, 2021.
I should have put the Jeopardy music on, but we'll tell you that for later.
I don't know. I ain't got it, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
So he finished the game with 5 carries for 24 yards. Malcolm Brown.
Oh my goodness, bro. It's comical, bro. It's comical.
The other running back. So Savon Ahmed had 7 carries for 22 yards. Friend of the original, or the first Dolphins player to jump on the podcast, Myles Gaskin, 5 carries for 9 yards. Tua had 3 carries for 22 yards. And then you look at the receivers. Obviously, we knew we had Gesicki, we had Waddle, Matt Collins, Durham Smythe, Albert Wilson, Stephen Carter, Isaiah Ford, Hunter Long. And this was a Dolphins team that at the time, or after the game, both teams were 1-5. That was the Jags' first win of the season.
Bro, so 2024, we here now. Super Bowl aspirations. We did not have Super Bowl aspirations back then. The Trevor Lawrence gets a contract this offseason. He's above $52 million a year, I think. Tua gets a contract this offseason. He's above $52 million a year. Are we going to have a quarterback duel, you think, Kadeem, outside of the answer that I already gave you?
We shouldn't. If there's going to be a quarterback duel, I think it will be because this Dolphins defense under Anthony Weaver are still trying to, figure out some kinks. The first time, they're actually playing outside of preseason. So if it's a close game and the Dolphins defense hasn't quote unquote turned up, I think, or I would hope, it's more because the Dolphins defense is still working some kinks out, as opposed to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags have given us some problems. Because if that is the case, then the Dolphins will have problems going forward.
So I sent you a text this morning, Kadeem. Coach McDaniel came out this week, Jags week 1, and kind of revealed some things that we really don't get, something that doesn't get revealed often so soon. You hear about this years down the road, like you hear about the Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan. One wanted RG3, the other wanted Kirk Cousins, so they end up taking both. You hear stuff like that later. Someone was going to trade up for Mahomes but didn't, stuff like that. Coach McDaniel reveals this week, 4 or 5 months ago, that the Dolphins almost took Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from LSU. The 2 wide receivers from LSU. Last time, I don't want to say last time, 2 wide receivers from LSU went in the first 2 rounds, but we do know of some pretty popular receivers that went round 1 and round 2 in the same draft, which was Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry from LSU from the same school. And then this year you have Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. Malik Neighbors goes top 10. I think he went 6 overall to the Giants. And Brian Thomas Jr. Goes 23rd, I want to say, to the Jaguars. We're lining up across, and obviously the significance of Brian Thomas Jr. is we're lining up across from this year, this week coming up. So we got Brian Thomas Jr., someone that the Dolphins were going to take at 21, and in my opinion, Chris Greer said, "Nah, bro, we're going D-line. We're going to the trenches." I like to make it a team thing, a mutual. Let's see what we think, but I'm gonna override the pick for sure. I'm pressing the green button, and we're gonna go D-line. I can't imagine. I can actually like going receiver, big body, 6'3", 210-pound receiver, and Brian Thomas Jr. added with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and everybody would have automatically put Brian Thomas Jr. in this echelon of wow. Just because the Dolphins drafted him while they have these 2 receivers, everyone would have made this pick like out of the. They would have just went over the top with this pick. Dolphins did not get him. We went Chop Robinson at 21. Jaguars go 23, Brian Thomas Jr. Without getting into the injury report, do we got to worry about Brian Thomas Jr.?
I want to be as non-journalist as I can, Basically, I don't want to say he's a first-round talent for a reason, so you got to worry about him, all that kind of stuff. It all depends on, again, you would like to think that the bright lights, Hard Rock Stadium, that heat, which I'll be sitting in the sun on Sunday, like, my God. You would like to think that all that kind of gets the better of him first start, and there's a few nerves, so he doesn't really go off. I think, again, if the Dolphins can limit him getting hot early in terms of, him and Trevor Lawrence finding each other and getting a few first downs and stuff like that, I don't think he'll be too much to worry about. Again, without getting to the injury report, the potential lack of options at DB could be somewhat of a concern. But again, it's a matter of, you would like to think that Anthony Weaver has enough to scheme up to make sure that Trevor Lawrence is, at the very least, kept, off spot, constantly on the move, not comfortable in the pocket. And basically, you kind of want to see the Trevor Lawrence we've seen in the NFL as opposed to the Trevor Lawrence that we saw coming out of Clemson.
Something that the Dolphins have going in their favor for week 1 is the Jaguars and even Trevor Lawrence actually said this week. They don't know what to expect from the Dolphins defense. New DC, different team. I don't know what to expect going into week 1. That's in our favor right now. What the Dolphin fans don't know what to expect is hopefully we don't wet the bed with the new DC and Trevor Lawrence comes in and carves us up, which they're more than capable of. He's more than capable of doing. You got the Jaguars front office just paid this man a contract. He's thinking, yo, they're all thinking, yo, we want to be proven right. Like, we gave this man the money. We want to be proven right. We drafted Brian Thomas in the first round. We want to be proven right. We want a successful, oh, look at the new toy we got. You know what I'm saying? And have a justification of, I told you this was the guy to go pick in the first round. So, fantasy alert. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is someone you want to consider on your roster. If you could get him, you could have got him late in like the 10th, 11th round in the draft. If for whatever reason he's available, that's somebody you do want to pick up because he might have some significant targets this season.
I think, again, it's, like you just, so eloquently put, it's a matter of the Dolphin defense not wetting the bed. And there's a lot of, I don't say players returning from injury, but this is basically a new front seven for the Dolphins. What are we going to get from Jordan Brooks? What is actually going to look like without Christian Wilkins next to him? How are these edge rushers going to perform when it's not Bradley Chubb and friend of the podcast, Emmanuel Ogba? How much will we see of Jalen Phillips? What's the safety tandem of friend of the podcast, Javon Holland and Jordan Poyer going to look like? The one thing which would have been interesting, how your boy Cam Smith would have looked if he was available, because you would like to think and believe if Jalen Ramsey isn't fit to play, it would have been Kendall Fuller and Cam Smith starting on the outside, and this could have been the start of this is why the Dolphins took Cam Smith in the second round. Instead, we're looking at the rest of the cornerback safety depth because Cam Smith isn't around, and I think that would have been, we mentioned was it the Jags in. Who was the team we played in Noah's rookie season, and they just destroyed Noah? Was it the Jags?
No, it was the Bills.
Was it Stephon Diggs that just?
It was so it was ill-advised to put this man in the fire like that. It was, I want to say it was Edelman. I kind of feel like it was Edelman, Diggs, and some other maybe even Thielen. Like, it was like, yo, don't put this rookie up against these killers like route runners. You know what I'm saying? So early. And I can't remember off the top, but I'm sure it was two of those three. So, but Diggs for sure was one of them.
Just going to double check the NFL Miami Dolphins season. But yeah, it's, Cam Smith against Brian Thomas could have been an interesting matchup or against Christian Kirk. It's definitely going to be an interesting matchup to see how the Dolphins DBs line up against this Jacksonville wide receiver core and Evan Ingram, who's the one that's given the assignment of trying to slow down Evan Ingram on Sunday.
Bro, you want to get in a no huddle?
I do. Just bear with me 2 seconds. I'll try and work out the regular season. No, I also would be fair. We beat Jacksonville, but yeah, we had 2020 New England week 1, Buffalo week 2, Jacksonville week 3, and yeah, either Noah didn't do well, but either way, to give him Stephon Diggs week 2 and yeah, Edelman week 1, or the Patriots in general week 1 is a very, very, very difficult start. But yeah, I am ready to get into no huddle. So let's cue the music. And this is, live bullets. We are ready now. No, live. People say live bullets. This is how I'm not around guns too much. So as I cue,
it's week 1, Kadeem. You over here playing Jeopardy music. This is bro. This is a 3 and out. That was a 3 and out. First drive.
That was. I accept it, and I've got. It's an absolute mess. But Let's have a look. Dolphins. Let's start with the injury report. Or do you want to start with?
We got to do a look at you, but that's 2-3 announcements in a row. We got to do Celsius Fahrenheit.
Listen. Do you know what? You're right. And again,
hold up. But before we do the weather, this year we're gonna do home games is Fahrenheit to Celsius, and away games is Celsius to Fahrenheit. Since Celsius to Fahrenheit is a little bit more trickier, we'll have the easier conversion for home game.
So I'm going off the app this time, and this isn't what the actual weather is thing. So Sunday, brilliant, and we want. Don't do this to me. I'm an absolute mess right now. If you're wondering why I'm such a mess right now, is because I am leaving this house in a few hours, and I haven't packed, haven't shaved my beard.
Sound like a bunch of excuses, Kadeem. I ain't gonna lie, we just went 2-3 and outs, and we're down 10 like in the first half. We gotta come back and have a really good second half, Kadeem.
So home game, and so you want Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius?
Fahrenheit to Celsius for home games.
So the weather on Sunday is 88 degrees Fahrenheit.
88 degrees Fahrenheit minus 30. It's 58. Divided by 2, 29. I'm going with 29 degrees Celsius, and we're gonna start off the season 1-0.
So 29 degrees Celsius, and what is the over/under? Is it 1.5?
1.5.
29.
What? What is it?
31.
No, bro. Where's my math at? Yo, this is bad, bro. Like, we start the season off 0-1. It's 31 degrees Celsius. What did I do the math wrong? I have to look at the tape. I have to go back and look at the tape, bro.
I feel like as the offensive coordinator in the situation, I gave you the wrong play. I was confused. You had to call a timeout. Had to get back into it. Was rushed. So the 0-1, I'll put it on me. I'll put it on me. Is what it is. We're down 17 zip now. Got to bring it back.
29. Dang, I was off by half a degree, bro. It is what it is.
Close.
Bro, you know what that was? That was the Dolphins losing to the Jaguars to a walk-off field goal. I was off by a half degree, and now I got to take a whole L. That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. What else is crazy is the injury report for week 1. So for the Miami Dolphins, actually, you know what? It's not for the Jags. The only person who was limited was safety Daniel Thomas, Achilles. For the Dolphins, Teron Armstead, Calais Campbell, Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Ramsey did not participate, but Armstead, Campbell, and Phillips were vet rest. So they should be okay for Sunday. Mike McDaniel did say that there might be a limited snap count for Jalen Phillips, also with the Bills on Thursday. Limited in their practice was Quinton Bell, Aaron Brewer, Kendall Fuller, vet rest, Benito Jones, David Long, vet rest, Jordan Poyer, Anthony Walker, both with vet rest as well, and then Malik Washington, quadricep, and then friend of the podcast, Javon Holland, was on the injury report, but was a full participant. So that is a long list, and like I said, it feels like we are in week 9 already.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to a quad injury as a quadricep. Like that, you might have been the first person to actually say the entire word.
And even now you've said it, I feel like it doesn't even make sense because no one says, how's your quadricep? It's always quad. It's bicep, tricep, and quad. Quadricep doesn't even feel real. Like I said, my mind is in Miami, but my body is still in London.
Listen, go ahead.
I was going to say, Charlie, what do you have for fantasy?
Fantasy football, we here. We made it. It's week 1. We're starting Tua. This is one of those games. It's a home game. We're going to start Tua. Tua's going to throw for over 300 yards passing, potentially 2 touchdowns. The 2 touchdown Tua thing is not a thing no more. I want to be very clear. 2 touchdown Tua is not a thing. It's going to be a lot of rushing yards, a lot of running touchdowns, but Tua's going to get jiggy. He's going to look like he deserves his $52 million, but we're going to start him in fantasy football. We're starting Devon Achane. Must start, lock him in every single week. You start Devon Achane. You do not want to miss out on a 40-point game because he's splitting carries with Raheem Mostert. Speaking of Raheem Mostert, if you got Raheem Mostert late in the draft, like 10th, 11th round, he's also safe to start. I don't think we're going to run Devon Achane through the tackle on the 5-yard line and just force it in. I think Mostert still gets off, has over 13 rushing touchdowns this season, and if you got him late, that'll pay off for you. We're starting Waddle. We're starting Hill. Waddle might have more receiving yards than Hill this year. You heard it here on Go Time Dolphins. Waddle might have more receiving yards than Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying. We're not starting Jonnu Smith, not starting Durham Smythe, not starting Malik Washington, although Malik Washington will surprise some people this season. We're starting Jason Sanders. We got to do it. He's the kicker. Jason Sanders is going to hit one from 60 this year. Don't miss out when he does. Starting the Dolphins defense, regardless of what the injury report said. I'll get back to the injury report in a minute. Other side of the ball, I don't know about Trevor Lawrence yet. We'll circle back on that. Starting Travis Etienne. We're starting Christian Kirk. I try to get Christian Kirk in every single league that I have. I think Christian Kirk is going to have a high floor. You might get a minimum of 13 points a week with Christian Kirk. So I want to have as much Christian Kirk as I can. You're going to start Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram probably going to score a touchdown this week. So Evan Ingram's solid. Do not start the Jags defense. Do not start Brian Thomas. That's all I got.
Can I just interject very quickly?
What's up?
I will be starting Jonnu Smith this Sunday. I think the Dolphins have at least 1 touchdown to Jonnu Smith. I also think Jonnu Smith could be a 3rd down weapon. And I also think if you look at the Dolphins depth chart, with Jonnu Smith kind of like in that F position, he's just going to get the ball. I think Dolphins and Jonnu Smith are going to be quite a fun experiment this season. So I am starting Jonnu Smith. And if I lose my matchup, it's because I started Jonnu Smith this Sunday. But listen, it is what it is. You know, there's a reason why I'm in the beginners league, not the vet league, and it should be a fun one.
Hey, but being realistic, stuff like that wins you the league, Kadeem. If you hit on it, if you're right about it, and if you're not, then it's like, why would you do that? But real quick for the people, who else do you have at tight end other than Jonnu Smith?
Travis Kelce.
Stop the music, please. Are you starting Jonnu Smith over Travis Kelce?
Oh, hell no. No, I'm definitely starting Travis Kelce 100%.
So you're putting Jonnu Smith in the flex?
Yes.
All right. So here's a lesson. We're going to give a live lesson real quick on Go Time Dolphins about fantasy football. Who else do you have on your bench, Kadeem? Real quick, just for the people. Teaching moment. It's a teaching moment.
So I haven't set my team up just yet. But my bench has Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Christian Watson, Scary Terry, J.K. Dobbins, and Isaiah Likely.
Devontae Adams?
Yes. And
who's your 2 starting receivers?
Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs.
I thought you had Terry McLaurin.
I do.
Kadeem, I'm going to let you do what you want. But as a teaching moment here on Go Time Dolphins, for all the fantasy football players, do not start Jonnu Smith over Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin if you can, bro. That is a wild one for me. Like if Jonnu Smith comes back and puts up 25 points, I will apologize and pay for whatever you need me to pay for the next time you come to Miami. But please, for the sake of fantasy football players everywhere, do not start Jonnu Smith over Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, about this injury report. I'm not concerned about an injury report. It had
Hold on. We finished no huddle.
no. I'm gonna get there real quick. So, about the injury report, I'm not concerned about it. It's like I want to say 11 players on the injury report for the Dolphins right now. I'm not tripping. Listen, I want to be very clear what the injury report is. In the preseason, you don't have to report all the injuries. But when the season starts, you have to report every single injury there is known to man to anybody, right? So people pop up on the injury report and it's like, yo, that happened like a couple of days ago. I'm good. I'm going to give you an example of why you should not trip when you see the injury report. 2 years ago, Christian McCaffrey had a cleat scrape his shin and it cut his shin. And it was the smallest cut, like did not even need a Band-Aid type of cut. But that had to go on the injury report. So Christian McCaffrey went on the injury report for a shin injury. But all it was a scrape of a cleat. So don't trip when you see injury report and you see everybody on the injury report. Oh, but they're playing through it. Like, nah, this you got to know when to worry about the injury report and when not to. And I'm not worried about the injury report. However, I am a little bit worried about Jalen Ramsey having a hamstring injury and not practicing at all. Like that's stuff you need to be alarmed about. So that's why we're talking about Brian Thomas, might having a game and Jalen Ramsey not being out there, stuff like that. But other than that, I'm not really worried about too many things on the injury report. So we got easy money, Kadeem. We back.
We do, but very, very, very quickly. I feel like we should have a fantasy mailbox where people can send us their fantasy question. Should I start this or this? But when we're live, it's a lot easier. But yeah, should I start this person? Let us know, and both of us, myself included, will give us your honest opinions. I think that's a pretty dope segment going forward. Let me know what you think.
Like we'll throw it in no huddle, fantasy mailbox. Hit us up in the comments or even on social media. All social media platforms at gotimedolphins. Send your questions there. You could just tweet us or DM us. It don't matter. However you want to send your fantasy football questions, and we'll answer them on no huddle on every Friday before that game. Or next week it's a Thursday night game, so we'll do it. We'll have to get it out earlier. But yeah, man. No huddle. This is bad, Kadeem. Like this is an L. This is an L today. And I hope the Dolphins perform better than we did week 1. So we got easy money, and I'm gonna keep it real simple. This is you can get real sexy with some of these picks. You'll have some last minute locks on Patreon. You come on over to Patreon. We're gonna have some more content for this week's game. We'll give you some last minute locks on Patreon. Shout out to all of our patrons. But the easy money pick of the week, Miami Dolphins money line, minus 166. What you got for us, Kadeem?
I was
see he was not even ready for the conversion, but I'll just get you right. Miami Dolphins money line 166. I feel like
is that plus 166?
Minus 166.
See, that's a
so Dolphins are barely favored. It's a 3.5 point game. Well, in the money line terms, we're barely favorite. It's minus 166. I feel like that's way too close. Like, I think they're disrespecting us. People really don't believe in Tua, so we'll use that to our advantage this year during easy money as much as we can. But minus 166, you put $100 down. You put $166 down, and you win $100. That's what minus 166 is.
So that's a decimal of 1.6, a fraction of 0.6 over 1, and an implied probability of 62.4%.
Cash out. We're cashing out. We're starting 1-0 in easy money. That's for sure.
I hope so, because we haven't started 1-0 in anything so far this episode, boys. But again, this is the fun of the Go Time Dolphins podcast.
Unedited too. No, we're not taking out none of the fumbles that we had this episode. We just keep them in for the people.
Not at all.
It's week 1 for us too.
Charlie, before we head into bonus time, what is your score prediction? And bearing in mind, I am 0-3 in watching the Dolphins live across 3 different stadiums. This will be my 4th stadium watching the Dolphins. Our first game was the day after we first met.
Wembley
Wembley Stadium, 20
versus the
zip
Saints.
against the Saints. Second game was the aforementioned Jags game. This is the revenge game, 23-20.
Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham Hotspur, 23-20 to the Jags. And then obviously last year we had the Chiefs in Germany. That game was just brutal. 21-14 to the Chiefs. So I'm 0-3. Charlie, what is your prediction for week 1?
Week 1, Dolphins win 27-13.
27-13. And is that an Evan Ingram touchdown if you think Evan Ingram is scoring?
I like
Not that
it.
it matters, but yeah.
I like it. Evan Ingram gets that sole touchdown. Like I said, he was going to get in the box. So, yeah, I like it.
I am going, I think Tua throws for 3 touchdowns. The Dolphins run in 2. That's 35. I'm going a 38-17 victory for the Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna see them win for the first time. If they do, I'm gonna make sure Hannah Montana's with me for every single game because she clearly counteracts my bad luck. And yeah, it's gonna be a amazing time.
So for those wondering, the over-under is 49 points. Kadeem has the game going over. I have the game going under. I want to be very clear. Be very careful with over-unders this season with the Miami Dolphins. First of all, be very careful with the over-under in the NFL because that new kickoff rule is going to change the field position real fast. And I think you're going to get a lot more overs this year. And when it comes to the Miami Dolphins over-under, the reason why you have to be careful with taking the Miami Dolphins on over-under is because at any time they can explode. We can explode and go off for 40 points a game, 35 points a game, and this over is 49. And I got us going under because we'll probably go up and Jacksonville won't be able to catch up. And then we'll slow it down, dial it down a little bit. But I can also see a world where we just blow these boys out. So, or it could be a track meet. So, yeah, be careful with over-unders this year with the Miami Dolphins.
I can't find the tweet or the stat, but it's something like the Dolphins under Mike McDaniel in September. I think they lost like maybe 1 or 2 games. Like this is the opening month. I think they're about 3-1, 4-0 over the last 2 years. So I am begging the Dolphins to get up to a hot start. I'm going to try not to cry as I walk up those stairs and see the field for the first time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this easy money pick of the week is a lot. No doubt about it. Yay, come on over to Bonus Time with us. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
So, just a few questions from me.
Yup.
How much / if at all do we see of Jalen Phillips? Would this be a game in which is a heavy rotation of Mo Kamara, Quinton Bell, Emmanuel Ogba, Chop Robinson, and will we see Aaron Brewer start at center, or do you think the Dolphins are going to roll out UDFA Andrew Meyer and give Brewer a few more days to get ready for the Buffalo game?
Speaking of UDFAs, and I'm going to get to your question, Kadeem. Speaking of UDFAs, I sent you guys something. 26 of the 53 players on the Miami Dolphins roster were undrafted or drafted in the 6th or 7th round. We'll say that one more time. 26 of the 53 players on the Miami Dolphins roster were undrafted or drafted in the 6th or 7th round. Kadeem, this is a new team. We can't give this team the success of last year's team or the little success of last year's team. But this team goes over. Oh, you know what? We got to get our season predictions too. What our record is going to be. We might as well get that in. This is an L for us today, Kadeem. This episode was an L. We started off 0-1 today. All right. But this team wins 11 games, bro, with 26 undrafted players and 6th and 7th round picks. It's a testament to your front office, bro. Like if you're successful like that. So, and I just know we're going to be successful. It feels like we're going to be successful. It feels like we got a squad, bro. And if someone would have told me, asked me, hey, how many undrafted players and 6th and 7th round picks do you think you have on your team? I would not have come up with 26. Would you?
No, not at all. No, especially when you think of the players that the Dolphins have taken in the first 2 rounds or even 3 rounds, the success the Dolphins have had with that. The guys the Dolphins have brought in, your Bradley Chubbs, Tyreek Hills, and stuff like that. So again, we all know the success of the UDFA the Dolphins have under Chris Greer. Also goes to show that the work the Dolphins have done, not just in drafting guys in the later rounds, but bringing in guys who were drafted in the later rounds because they see potential there and believe that those guys can take us to a Super Bowl.
So Miami Dolphins depth chart have Jalen Phillips slotted to start. Here's my thing. I believe Jalen Phillips, and when you say start, what does that mean? Like, he's on the field for the first 3 plays? Is he on the field for the first play? Here's my thing with Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips is going to see over 20 snaps in the first game. Does he start? Sure, he starts. But does he come off the field a lot? Yeah, he comes off the field a lot. Out of the average offense in the NFL runs 60 plays a game, right? And it's probably higher nowadays. He's going to see a minimum of 25 for sure. So we're about to find out. And then they're gonna see how he's feeling. And all right, let's see what you got. They're not just gonna throw him in the 58 plays and say, all right, it's week 1. Let's test it out.
It's going to be It's going to be interesting, especially as Mike McDaniel alluded to, and it's you can't ignore it. It's a short week for the Dolphins. Selfishly, I want to see as much Jalen Phillips, Jalen Ramsey, all those guys as possible. Realistically, I think we will see. I think they will manage Phillips snaps over the next 2 games. We'll talk about the Bills, and the Bills preview episode. But also, I don't think we see Ramsey just opening week, basically. And I think that extra, the gap between week 2 and week 3, they'll be like, Ramsey get right. I also think a lot depends on just how well the Dolphins defense looks in terms of the front 7, see how much Phillips plays. They might have him on a 20 snap count, but actually go, you know what, this defense is balling. Chop Robinson's had himself a game. Ogba looks like the Ogba we got when we first brought him over. Calais Campbell, you're right. Calais Campbell and Zach Selo are having themselves a game as well, so they can listen. You still got to get Phillips out there because you need to see what he's like, but it's like, you know what, we don't really need to force him. We don't need to get him in key 3rd down situations because we're trying to chase the game or keep the Jags away from scoring to make it a 1-score game, if that makes sense. So yeah.
So if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like Kadeem's Wi-Fi has left to go to Miami without him, like first. So we're about to get up out of here. And before we go, we're going to give you our season predictions. And then we're going to Kadeem's going to jump on a plane to Miami. I have us going 13-4 and winning the 1 seed. We're going to come out with the 1 seed and we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, it's not a, hey, the Dolphins going to Super Bowl. Like, it's like, yo, I believe it. I've been saying it for years now that 2024 season was the last. That's it. That's like, yo, this is it. We're gonna get our ring. So, yeah, and I'm not saying that because I said it. Like, I actually, it feels good, bro. Like, had we not missed 11 players last year in the playoffs, we would have been better than what we were. So I'm good with my prediction. I feel like I could say with my chest, 13 wins, and that's what I'm standing on.
How's my connection so far?
Nah, it's not it. It left already. It's on an economy flight.
Okay, if you can hear me,
no, we can hear you.
Oh.
You just pixelated real good, like a lot of pixels going on over there.
Well, I'll keep it brief then. 12-5. That's my prediction. And Charlie, I will see you in Miami. Everyone else, we shall see you on the next one. Peace.